Want to get this briefing by email? Here's the sign up. Good evening. Here's the latest. Image credit Greg Vigliotti for the New York Times. 1. The family at the center of the opioid crisis was accused of moving vast sums of money through Swiss bank accounts. Letitia James, New York's Attorney General, said her office had tracked about $1 billion in wire transfers by the Sackler family, suggesting that the family tried to shield its wealth. Earlier this week, the family and its pharmaceutical company, OxyContin maker Purdue Pharma, reached a tentative settlement involving thousands of cases. Above, a protest last year in front of Purdue headquarters in Stamford, Conn. But officials in New York and many other states have balked at the deal, and are trying to reclaim parts of the Sackler fortune before a planned Purdue bankruptcy that could constrain payouts. Image credit Alyssa Shukar for the New York Times. 2. The U.S. government's inquiry into big tech is getting personal. Congress demanded scores of documents, including the emails of top executives like Jeff Bezos of Amazon, Tim Cook of Apple, Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook, and Larry Page of Google. The requests, part of an investigation into the market power and behavior of the biggest tech companies, come as similar inquiries are underway at the Justice Department, the Federal Trade Commission, and by the attorneys general of dozens of states. Separately, WeWork limited the power of its CEO ahead of its planned public offering, trying to allay concerns among prospective investors. Image credit Mia Khalifa for the New York Times. 3. Elizabeth Warren drew praise. Julian Castro swung and missed. Andrew Yang offered money. But who won the Democratic debate on Thursday? The 10 presidential hopefuls clashed over how far to push their ideas. And Joe Biden clung to his central theme of embracing his former boss, President Barack Obama, while progressive candidates pressed the case for broader change. Here are 6 takeaways. The next debate is only a month away. 11 candidates have qualified so far for the event, which will be co-hosted by The Times and CNN. Image credit pool photo by Victoria Jones. 4. Boris Johnson has dragged the Queen into the fight over Brexit. After the UK Prime Minister asked Queen Elizabeth II last month to suspend Parliament, a Scottish court ruled that he had abused his power by misleading her with his rationale. Above, the two met at Buckingham Palace in July. The suspension threw the apolitical monarch into the middle of a vicious partisan fight. Britain's Supreme Court is set to hear the case next week, and its decision could have major implications for Brexit, the fate of Mr. Johnson's leadership and the delicate balance of power between the Crown and Parliament. And Mr. Johnson, confronting a crucial hurdle to his Brexit plan, is considering a proposal to place parts of the Northern Ireland economy into an all-Ireland zone, presumably subjecting them to EU rules and preserving the open border with Ireland. Image credit Michael Dwyer, Associated Press. 5. The actress Felicity Huffman was sentenced to 14 days in prison, the first parent to be sentenced in the sweeping college admissions scandal. Her sentence, which included a $30,000 fine, a year of supervised release, and 250 hours of community service, was being closely watched as an indication of how harshly other parents would be punished. Above, Ms. Huffman leaving a Boston courthouse on Friday. In my desperation to be a good mother, I talked myself into believing that all I was doing was giving my daughter a fair shot, wrote Ms. Huffman, who paid a college consultant $15,000 to inflate her daughter's SAT score. She added that she saw the irony in that statement. Now, image credit Eamon Queenie for the New York Times. 6. A Food and Drug Administration panel recommended approving the first drug to reduce the risk of peanut allergies in children. The recommendation by experts all but assures the agency will approve the drug, a new immunotherapy regimen, pictured above, that gradually exposes children to small amounts of peanut protein over the course of 6 months. Separately, the FDA has detected low levels of a cancer-causing chemical in the heartburn medication ranitidine, sold under the brand name Zantac. Image credit Mauricio Lima for the New York Times 7. Israel is planning a network of cable cars over Jerusalem. Will it result in the Disneyfication of a holy city? The route would link Jewish holy sites and bypass Palestinian neighborhoods altogether. The plan, a architecture critic writes, illustrates how Israel wields architecture and urban planning to extend its authority in the occupied territories, and curates a specifically Jewish narrative of Jerusalem, furthering Israeli claims over Arab parts of the city. We also looked at new architecture debuting around the world, from Casablanca, Morocco, to North Little Rock, Arc. Image credit Grace Michelli 8. How do you find your happily ever after city? Take it out for a date first, then consider the tempo, observe traffic, and ask yourself, what do I need? Relocating to a new city can go from bad to worse in a split second. One urban sociologist argues that the problem for many people is that they overlook the inherent logic or personality, everything from the height of the buildings to behavioral norms, of a city. Here's how to get it right the first time. And on the topic of advice, we have a new travel column that aims to help resolve the thorniest and most upsetting vacation disasters. This week, a non-existent hotel booked online. Image credit Ramona Rosales for the New York Times 9. For your reading pleasure. The new memoir from Edward Snowden shows that revealing your inner self may be even harder than spilling state secrets. The book is a riveting account and a curious artifact from the former intelligence contractor, a non-fiction critic found. We also spoke with Demi Moore, above, ahead of her memoir's release next week. After years of scrutiny of her career and relationships, the movie star hopes the public sees another side to her. It's more of an awakening than a comeback, she said. Image credit Sarah Ann Wood for the New York Times. Food stylist Michelle Gattin. Prop stylist Paula Andrea. 10. And finally, get out your apron. The secret to Japanese comfort food is a homemade curry brick. Gerezu, or curry and rice, is a mainstay of Japanese school lunches and quick weeknight dinners, with a fascinating backstory. Curry, which arrived from India via the British Navy, was seen as Western fare. Japanese cooks adapted it to their own tastes, adding ingredients like shiitake mushrooms, kombu, or miso. Tehal Rao spoke with a cooking teacher in Los Angeles who stocks her pantry with blocks of spice for an easy way to add a mellow heat and an umami punch to any meal. We get tired of ramen, we get tired of sushi, the teacher said, but we never ever get tired of curry. Have a delectable weekend. Your evening briefing is posted at 6 p.m. Eastern, and don't miss your morning briefing. Sign up here to get it by email in the Australian, Asian, European or American morning. Want to catch up on past briefings? You can browse them here. What did you like? What do you want to see here? Let us know at briefing@nytimes.com. Let's block ads. Why?